Now let's move on to Marco Rubio. Let's go to the audio sound bites. As you know, on yesterday's program, I don't know, something, it was either a caller here or something I was reading in the news, something that happened on the program. I just reacted in a semi-visceral way to the idea that all of a sudden Marco Rubio has become this establishment candidate, which to me means that he's a rhino, a moderate Republican, tending toward even maybe a liberal Republican and all that. And that's just not who Marco Rubio is. To me, I think, made the point, analyzing the results in Iowa, that Rubio is heavily influenced by Reagan, as was Ted Cruz, as was Dr. Carson, 3 of the 4 top finishers in Iowa. And I think this is momentous. I think it's remarkable, because the Republican Party establishment they're trying to tie Rubio to is actually the group that wants to get rid of Reagan and Reagan influences, the Reagan fetish. The era of Reagan is over. And I think Rubio's a Reaganite. Rubio is somebody whose life story, and Rubio is somebody whose ideology is much closer to Reagan than, say, a Mitt Romney or a McCain, or take your pick of whoever, Bob Dole, the establishment people happen to love. And I know that a lot of people are very nervous about Marco Rubio because of the Gang of 8. And Rubio's out saying, don't think we have enough support in our party alone to get elected president. We're going to have to branch out. Some people look at Rubio as an interventionist in foreign policy, which to them means globalist. I understand the fears people have of Rubio, and I understand that the conservative contrast that can be made between Rubio and Cruz. There's no question that you can make that contrast, that one, Cruz is top to bottom, check mark after check mark after check mark, no doubt. Is Ted Cruz a conservative? And I understand Rubio's given people reason to be less confident. Gang of 8 bill alone, the argument over whether or not he does favor, ultimately, at the end of everything, amnesty. I understand all of that. I would too. If the New York Times came out and said this is the best talk show in the country, I would panic. I would think it's over. What am I doing wrong? That's exactly right. If the New York Times came out and started treating me the way they treat, I don't know, take your pick of any liberal personality or actor. If they started treating me that way, I'd say, what in the world did I do wrong? I would think it's about over if I'm being praised by the New York Times. It's exactly damn right. I know, I'm walking on eggshells all day today. I'm trying not to crack the eggs. But friends, at some point, I know we need to run against the establishment. I'm leading the charge. But Marco Rubio ain't them. Now, I don't doubt that they are trying to make him them. I don't doubt that they're putting pressure on him. They don't have anywhere else to go. Their guy isn't going to go anywhere. Their guy is Jeb. Then their next guy is Christie. They're not going anywhere. They've got to find somebody. And they're glomming onto Rubio. But let me tell you something. You know what really made it reality for me? I'm listening to people analyze Iowa, and they're tabulating the votes by percentage and leaving Rubio out when discussing the percentage of the Iowa caucus vote that went to conservatives. And they would say something like, and if you look at it, 51% of the caucus goers in Iowa tended to conservative. That would be the total of Cruz and Carson. And somehow Rubio got left out of that, that's what made me start scratching my head. How can you not count the support that Rubio got? Rubio is, as in many people's minds, is a conservative. He clearly is not a rhino. He's not the kind of Republican you think of when you hear establishment Republican. To me, anyway. And so I think you have to add the votes that Rubio got, the percentage that Rubio got. If you do that, you're well over 60% of the Hawkeye electorate that chose conservatism. Trump, you would not throw in that mix. Trump himself doesn't want to be identified that way. Or it's not that he doesn't want to be, but that's not the angle from which he's coming. But that's the only point that I was trying to make here. We have a Politico story here. GOP establishment rallies behind Rubio. Top Republicans urging several of his rivals to drop out. And from Breitbart, Republican establishment candidates go full throttle after Rubio in New Hampshire. Republican establishment presidential candidates Bush, Kasich, and Christie have focused their fire on Marco Rubio as part of the GOP nominee's campaign. This is all about a quest for money. The donor class in this, I understand that, but when you get down to discussing ideology, I don't know. I don't know how else to say it. I know Rubio. He's I don't know these people intimately well, not what you would call best friends with them, but I know them. I've spent a lot of time with them. I've spent a lot of time talking to them about any number of things, not just their careers and not just politics. But whereas Jeb Bush, I would have no qualm with anybody describing Jeb as establishment. He is the definition of it. He is the poster boy this year. I think the establishment really has nowhere to go. They've got to go get somebody here. Everyone in this race that the establishment, by that I mean the RNC, the GOP, the elites, inside the Beltway cadre, whatever. If they'd had their druthers, it'd be Jeb, and then after that it would be Christie, and then after that it would be, some of them might even want to glom onto Kasich. But Rubio is the last chance they've got to have a horse in the game. I don't know if Rubio wants to take it and run with it as that, but I'm just talking about in a vacuum. Vacuums don't exist, but Rubio just as he stands and is. I listened to his speech after the Iowa caucus. I did not hear somebody embarrassed of or afraid of conservatism, conservative ideology. I heard somebody, on the contrary, who understands it, who can articulate it cheerfully, happily, confidently. The idea to peg this guy as an establishment type, knowing what that really means, is just something that doesn't compute with me. But I'm not even finished with this.